the major success stories in the motoring industry in recent years is the rise of the Korean brands. Far from being cheap alternatives to more established makes, Korean cars are actually really good in their own right. And though they're not necessarily cheap anymore, they're still really good value for money. Take the Hyundai i20. It's a rather spacious super mini, and in no way the rather bland, anonymous budget runaround we've come to expect of Korean manufacturers of old. Okay, it may not have the pizzazz of the Fiesta or the va-va-voom of the Clio, but compared with previous offerings, it's definitely a step in the right direction. Just look at its neat creases along the body and the curvaceous lights. Anyone would think this was your everyday European super mini. And for Hyundai, that's mission accomplished. Even the rear has hints of trying for style, with its rounded tail lamps and this tapered line. And it's much the same case inside too. Gone are the cheap, nasty plastics. Instead, it's a wash with plastics that are not quite as soft touch as some of the best in class, but definitely not as offensive as some of the Korean cars of old. Plus, the layout is better, with buttons that are logical and well placed. The cabin is pretty practical too, with a boot more than capable of swallowing the weekly shop, and it can be extended further with these split folding rear seats. With the front seats upright, rear seat passengers will have enough head and leg room to relax in comfort. Standard equipment is pretty impressive too, with air conditioning and stability control available on every model. Not bad for a car with a sub £10,000 price tag. This blue version is, in this instance, not a dodgy film, but this special economy model, powered by a 1.4 litre diesel and fitted with an engine stop-start system, aerodynamic tweaks and special tyres that reduce friction. As a result, it can potentially cover more than 75 miles on a gallon of diesel. It's exempt from road tax, and for people who drive in and out of London, the congestion charge too. Elsewhere, the i20 range is available in a 1.2 or 1.4 litre petrol, or two versions of the standard 1.4 litre diesel, delivering either 74 or 89 horsepower. They all suit the car well, so which one to go for depends on how you're going to use it. The 1.2 is fine if most of your driving is done around town, whilst the diesels aren't really worth their extra cost unless you have a high annual mileage. The i20 may not be as much fun as, say, a Fiesta to drive, but it's stable and predictable and a comfortable ride. And it's a remarkably refined small car most of the time, whichever engine you opt for. Cars like the i20 have made it easy to see why the Koreans have been making such huge progress in the past few years, but there is still work to be done. The styling of the i20 is decidedly plain Jane, and Hyundai's image could do with a bit of a polish, which is reflected in mediocre second-hand values. But would we let that put us off buying one? Not one bit.